The Square Ball Podcast.
Welcome to the show, brought to you with Levi Solicitors. levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball to get your 10% discount on your legal fees. Michael, come on now.
Yeah. That's Moscow for once.
He's not going to play my game, is he? You can.
He's good at it. He knows all about the legal stuff.
You're actually opening their website to see what they do.
So what if I am?
It's what everybody should be doing. They should be opening levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball.
You should, because you
as
can
a matter of course.
Because you can do it from anywhere in the country, can't you?
Yeah, you can do it any time of day.
And have an online appointment. You don't have to be in Leeds. You don't have to be in the office. You don't have to be in person. That's the good thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Go on then, what are you going to talk about?
Probably lasting powers of attorney. You can do that. They can, medical negligence, they can help you with that stuff. Serious injury, they can help you with that.
Yeah.
Still sounds quite threatening.
They'll help you with it. They're not the ones doing it.
They're sorting it out.
You need an help with some serious injury, do you? Yeah, we know a guy.
To be clear, they are a good legal firm.
Very good, yeah.
And they will not have anyone beaten up.
See, this is why you need to just ask him and leave me out.
levisolicitors.co.uk/the square ball. Part 2 of the show is the Everton preview. Let's do the Everton preview, shall we then? Let's preview Everton. I said previewing Everton far too many times then at the start.
Call them the Toffees.
The Toffees. Yeah, Sean Dyche is in charge.
Oh, dear.
So we don't really have a big data set, do we? We've got the victory against Arsenal, the defeat to Liverpool, and Tarky.
100 years of Burnley.
Yeah, I don't know what to feel about Everton anymore, because they were quite easy to hate when Lampard was there.
He was very much the conduit for that, wasn't he?
Yeah, but now he's gone, I sort of think, all right, really.
I mean, I quite like him as a club, always have done, on the basis that they're not Liverpool.
Yeah, I think that's where most of my sympathy comes from as well. I think it can't be easy having to share a city with that lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and Dyche is there now. It's funny, if Frank Lampard had been slightly less shit, or Jesse Marsh had been slightly more shit, we might have Dyche as our manager now. Because he would have probably been on a list somewhere, wouldn't he?
How do you think he'd be communicating with the lads at the training ground?
Roughly speaking.
Yeah. How does he go in following Jesse Marsh masterclass?
Yeah, what would he say? Like,
I've got
if you
think how he feels.
He'd be going in
like
talking about like the previous boss did, how he's going to introduce his ideas.
But I don't know what he'd say.
Well, he would probably pick, and this is the amount of coaching we have to do to get this out of Michael. He would probably pick.
You've had your special coffee.
He would probably pick a selection.
My throat hurts. My special coffee dries my throat out.
He would probably pick a selection of Jesse Marsh's cliches and catchphrases.
Of course you would.
With which we're all familiar.
Yes, Miss Moneypenny.
And he would throw them back at them and say, "We're not going to be talking about those anymore."
Stresses for fannies. Something like that.
There we go.
Yeah. That'd do.
What's clarity for?
Fucking pint glasses.
Good.
Anything else?
Any views on? I'd imagine they'd probably have something in common on width, wouldn't they?
I fucking love width. Get it down the fucking wing. Get it into the fucking box.
For
Darky. I know he's centre back, but fuck it.
They can't rely on Calvert-Lewin, can they?
No, they can't.
So bringing that, you see, I gave you an out.
Bringing it back, good.
He's made of biscuits, isn't he, Calvert-Lewin?
Fully Pat Bamford. Although Pat Bamford obviously is now fit and well. But
yeah, it's looking good, isn't it?
Don't try and buy any Pat Bamford mugs off us, by the way.
Gone.
All gone. Sold about 150 of them or something, haven't we? It's almost like marketing works.
Ludicrous. But when we reduced them, that was the issue. We should have. If you've got one now, stick it on eBay for like £100.
£100, yeah.
That's what I'm going to do that with mine.
That's where they've all gone, isn't it? You've been trousering them.
Yeah. But no, Dominic Calvert-Lewin does sound. Sean Dyche said in not in his voice. He said not just get him fit, but so he's genuinely fit, so his body doesn't break down.
So I didn't understand that. Do it again, sorry, Sean.
No. You heard.
I didn't.
So yeah, he's in a bad way. And they've been left playing against Liverpool. They had that Sims character who they dragged back from Sunderland,
which meant that Joffrey's gone in the other direction.
Exactly.
Look at that circle of life.
So, did you watch the Liverpool game?
Sort of. Yeah, it was on. I didn't watch it particularly closely because football's quite stressful at the minute.
It was nice to see how Cody Gakpo was getting on.
Yeah, he scored, didn't he? I didn't actually see his goal. That was the bit that I missed.
Yeah, I also missed that in fairness. I was watching the first half.
Best thing he's ever done for Leeds, that, isn't it?
So far, the first half, Liverpool were by far the better team in it. But just before Liverpool scored, there was a set piece where Taki hit the post, and
I saw
there was a big
that,
scramble, and I just saw it, and I thought, oh no.
13 seconds before Liverpool scored. It's the exact timing. I was watching as well, and I loved it.
We will probably be set up to try and hit them quickly on the break, which is what Liverpool did. And it works. We know that, yeah.
Because Pickford went all over the place.
I know.
England goalkeeper just can't keep goal anymore.
He came out to mark whoever it was that was furthest over. I think
it was Gakpo at the back post.
Gakpo at the back post, and Salah actually got there first, didn't he?
Yeah, it just didn't occur to him that there might be another. So I'm a little distracted, but I got confused when you were reading his quote about trying to get him genuinely fit. It reminded me of the lyrics to I Like to Move It by Reel to Reel, but that's physically fit.
Physically fit, yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm now imagining Sean Dyche singing I Like to Move It. So it's quite difficult for me to concentrate on what else is going on.
You also need to hear that, don't you? So you could get it out your mind.
I mean, I've got the lyrics here if anybody could.
Do that. It helps. It's like a palate cleanser, isn't it, between the courses?
Although I'm not sure you really need the lyrics for the chorus of I Like to Move It. Do you want that written down, or do you just want to crack through?
I like to move it. I like to move it. I like to move it.
You like to
move it.
Thank you, Sean.
There we go. He'll be shouting that from the sidelines on Saturday.
Do you think there's a chance he's deliberately broken Calvert-Lewin?
Just because he can't be bothered with him.
Just because he doesn't like his style, and he's like, I'm not having this. I'm gonna break you.
Punishing him for dressing like a schoolgirl on that magazine cover.
Made him train in high heels or something.
It's his famous
snapped his Achilles or whatever.
It's his famous perplexing Bamford problem was where he didn't like that he played the piano, and then Bamford tells the story that he was Dyche was accusing him of being spoiled and never having to work hard for what he'd achieved in football. And Bamford was like, well, I don't even know, what do you mean? He's like, well, who dropped you off on your first day?
What?
And
what?
What? And Bamford said, well, my mum and dad. Exactly. So Dyche's whole problem with Pat Bamford...
Can I just request you don't do the voice?
No. His whole problem with Pat Bamford was that his mum and dad had brought him to Burnley on his first day. And so it doesn't take...
Should have got the bus with no shoes on.
Exactly. Should have walked from Nottingham in clogs. And it's... So it doesn't take much. And so, yeah, I can imagine him just looking at Dominic Calvert-Lewin's whole deal and just going, I'm just going to... Obviously, I can't do the voice. I'm not allowed. I'll just batter him and then he won't be a problem anymore. So
do you think maybe that thing with Dyche and Bamford is because they're both from Nottingham?
Different sides of Nottingham, clearly.
Is he from Nottingham,
I think
Dyche?
so.
I thought he's from further south, I think.
Is he? Let's find out.
I think is he originally Northampton, and he's recently moved up to Nottingham to be closer to Ian Woan and Ian Woan's family. But then this job has come up.
Oh, it's Kettering.
Kettering, that's the place, of course.
You imagine he's northern, don't you?
My mate Stu's from Kettering. They don't know each other.
It's him and James Acaster, isn't it? So there's, but now him and Woney are back to what they had at Burnley, which is like, I assume, but at Burnley they shared a flat in Burnley and then would drive back to Nottingham sometimes, so Ian Woan could see his family, and then Dyche would go further. He'd go home to Kettering. I don't know where Steve Stone fits into this, apart from the fact that his name rhymes with Ian Woan's, and that's always been the key to a Dyche backroom staff.
He's not actually there, is he, Steve Stone?
Yeah, Stone and Woan.
Is he?
Of course, he's got them all back together. He can't go anywhere without Stone and Woan.
Steve and Brian Stone, exactly the same age as Dyche, but obviously from Gateshead. So you'd think they're going to go across the motorway and go opposite way, one up the A1, one down the A1.
You can't have Stone without Woan. It's like wine and grind.
Like Chakademus without pliers.
Exactly, all these things.
I feel like we've gone a little way off piste here.
Are we going to beat them? I think that's what people want to know, isn't it? They want to know whether we think we're going to beat them or not.
What's fun, I mean, this show will come out before the Athletic show, but Phil's partially off this week, and we've had to coerce him into...
He was actually fully off until he was bullied into doing something.
Yeah, and he was not happy that we made him come back on his own show. It's called the Phil Hay Show. I mean, what are you supposed to do then? What are you going to do when the man has a holiday?
True.
Why don't you think about that when they commissioned the show name? So we made him come back on, didn't we, for 20 minutes with a gun to his head to do... he talked about Scoobs, but we've got to do the Everton preview over there, and we're doing it here.
Go on.
I was just going to say, you might notice a slight contrasting in styles between where we've got to behave ourselves for the Athletic and this, where we're talking about 90s pop.
I probably won't do a voice on the Athletic one either.
I could do Phil's voice.
Well done. There you go.
Just pretend he's... Yeah, I don't know why you're not...
You could have done it, yeah.
Should have put it. Oh, it'd been great to put out a full episode. No, Michael. I could have done both actually.
Michael's not here, but Phil is.
You'll find out if he listens to it when he's not on.
and that would be the end of the contract to the Athletic.
When he calls you through, well, they might not notice the difference. It's a pretty good impression.
Anyway, back to Goodison.
With guest Sean Dyche.
Feels like we're avoiding talking about the game again.
Yeah, what's going to happen? My theory, which I've already put out privately to you, Dan, is that Tarky will score a header on about 12 minutes, then they will waste time relentlessly.
We'll attack, have all the ball.
With Jordan Pickford eventually getting booked for time wasting in the 87th minute.
Yeah.
Having taken a total of 28 minutes to take goal kicks throughout the game.
Mm-hmm. But in play time of the football, 12 minutes.
Something like that, yeah. Barely at all. That's what would probably suit.
I think, what about you, Moscow? I think our superior footballing prowess will see us home at the weekend.
Yeah, I think we're a better team, so we'll probably win.
Interesting.
And I think that's it's the Scoobs situation, is we've kind of removed, because we were saying on the other shows that, Victor Orta loves to be sold a philosophy and like all the kind of things that come with it. We ain't got any of that. We just got a guy to come in and say, right, we're going to set up like this. Here's what the other team does. So don't let them do that. And go and play really well.
It's interesting you say that because we've recorded the bit with Phil already that's going on his show that'll be out after this one. And he was saying Scoobs has basically simplified it.
Yeah.
Like just taking away all the other stuff, any confusing messaging, whatever it might be, and say, just sort of go out and do your thing, lads.
It's kind of the uncharitable reading of how we got out of trouble last year is to say that it wasn't Marsh what won it, that the players got us over the line. I know people argue back and forth about that, but there is at some point, and it's kind of how I feel about us going into these games without a manager, without unveiling Nuno or somebody. It's like a manager is not a magic bullet. At some point, it is back to the players being on the pitch and either putting the ball in the net or keeping it out of ours or not. And so knowing that we've got a bunch of good players, knowing that we've got a core of players who got us promoted, who got through the Derby defeat as well, who then got us up to 9th and then kept us up last season. So they've been through a lot. They know a lot of what's going on. How much more is it maybe easier, and it looked easier in the 2 games in the past week, to stop trying to tell them too much and just go like, you pretty much know what you're doing, don't you? Like, rely on the fact that you know what you're doing. Rely on your experience. How many times we've played Everton a bunch of times recently? Like, what do you need to tell Robin Koch about dealing with Sims from like a Sunderland loanee? It's like, it's a bit like some of the stories that come. It's an Alex Ferguson, wasn't it? Isn't it? It's like, lads, it's Spurs.
Yeah.
You get to a point with the team sometimes where you should be able to just go, lads, it's Everton. Look, Coleman is slow. Coleman against Nyonto.
Yeah, that is a good off. Because well, he's going to likely have Cody on that side covering it as well. So there's not a lot of pace there, is there?
No.
I mean, bearing in mind we're recording ahead of the presser, would you stick Aronson back in? So we don't know what's happening just yet.
No.
Would you put him maybe not like on the right of the front 3?
No, I'd stick with the same.
Would you go with
team.
would you go with a midfield 3 then?
I think it'll be McKennie and Adams with Jackie in front of him.
Right.
That is what I would guess he'll go for. And
the old 4-2-3-1.
That is what I would go for too.
Oh, look at the tactics.
The midfield's interesting because they have very much gone to like 3 men in midfield, 1 man up front. It's Dyche. Dyche is what they've done. Win the battles in midfield. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. I'm quite glad we've got McKennie in there for this one, actually. I think it might suit him, this kind of a game. It's probably going to be a bit untidy in there.
Yeah.
But we can do untidy.
It's funny listening to you two. Like I've just realised you two are the embodiment of Moscow. You represent my optimism. Michael, you represent my worst fears when it comes to this, how this result's going to go. Because although I've said I think our superior footballing ability might see us home, I am also terrified of exactly what you describe unfolding.
I mean, they were, in fairness, I know against Liverpool they were quite defensive and pretty much they looked like they were setting out for a point. But against Arsenal, they were actually quite good. They were on the front foot for a lot of the game with Everton. It wasn't like they were just trying to snatch it on a set piece. They had some good bits in that game.
They've done that with Lampard, though, haven't they? Remember, they'd have a good result under Lampard, and they've won. they'd win a match and he would be doing a lap of honour, taking all the credit for it, and then the next game they're just absolutely awful again. So that could be...
And he'd be like, that, not me, this one.
Yeah.
It was the players.
Well, it does beg the question, though, of how they approach playing us, because teams that allow us to have the ball and sit deep tend to be the ones that have prospered against us, whereas there's probably going to be a bit of an imperative on them being in front of their home crowd to take this game to us and try and get it won. So,
well, they have to win as well. They're below us in the league.
Absolutely.
So
it's a huge chance for them, isn't it? Not only us, but them too.
But it's not also a huge chance. It's a huge problem because they have to win. If we draw, you know, it's not ideal, but it's a little bit better than it's for them because we stay above them. So this at home needing to win, like the idea of them sort of going into a low block without taking the lead, they can't be too defensive. And I don't
think they will be at home in this one. I think if they take the lead, they might go defensive. But
they definitely will. I mean, Manchester City did that against Arsenal. It seems to be the new thing. There's all these things. It's weird that we've come out of the World Cup when everyone's clamping down on time wasting, and now it seems like more and more teams have got on the idea of like the goalkeeper just moving slowly as possible, like they're doing some kind of like robot dance from the 1980s where it's like creeping through on a in a middle eight and then they'll burst into life again when the referee stares at them. But yeah, I mean, 2 Manchester City players getting booked for time wasting before half time, and they're supposed to be the best team around. But so we need to not concede early, preferably ever, and we need to score a ton of goals. There's ever ton, but one would do.
And I want Pat Bamford to do a piano stroke violin celebration when he does.
Right in Dyche's face.
Yeah.
Go running over.
Good shout.
And that's it. The way we played against, in the last couple of games, looked to me better than the way Everton played against Liverpool. Like that's kind of the test of like trying to play. And also Liverpool have been terrible. So they lost to a terrible team with good players. And we are a terrible team with good players. So it should be pretty much set up for us.
Sold.
And also being on the break as well, like if we can, because it's much more difficult to achieve that stuff against our recent opponents than it will be against Everton. I suppose Harry Maguire was quite entertaining for a while, but he still got De Gea to get past in the end. Whereas Pickford just likes a wander, doesn't he? Connor Cody is what he is. Tarks is what he is. Yeah.
The method of letting their centre-backs have the ball may well just stick from the Man United game in this one because it'll probably be all right.
Well, that's it without going in without a proper manager is how much information do you need to actually be able to beat Everton? What does Scoobs need to do to get this result? He needs to...
What does Scooby do?
What does Scooby need to do? He needs to make sure that we are disciplined in shape. He seems to have cracked that in the last couple of games. He needs to make sure that we have clarity about the way that we're attacking. And I think the way that we've sort of kept it quite fast, but with a bit more patience in the final third has been a great change where we're trying to keep the ball there and trying to make more chances if we don't score straight away. And then it's picking out which of the Everton players we need to press and which ones we need to leave because they'll give us the ball and then just win.
Just go win. Should we do that?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Michael, you up for that?
Yeah, I'd like it, certainly.
Part 2 of the show there, finished for you. Part 1 is available if you haven't watched that, although this won't make as much sense if you've watched them out of order, but it is still there. Part 3 on the way for you next with Heroes and Villains in your YouTube feed.
The Square Ball Podcast.